Kartika, and within the jurisdiction of Mathura in India, are very easily awarded the Lord's personal service. So we'll stop there for today. Are there any questions? Questions or discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
The question is regarding service to the devotees.
Okay, speak up.
And service to the devotees and in general relationships with devotees. And there were many injunctions there that devotees are to be worshipped and offered service as a first priority. Now in practical life, sometimes devotees have quarrels with each other and like that. Maybe some devotee committed some offense and like that. So how should devotees relate to one another in such situations? Should they still always be worshipped?
Well, I mean, we don't really have quarrels, do we?
I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes we avoid association with some devotees because of...
See, this brings up the question, well, what kind of devotees are these that would have quarrels?
That's what...
You know, Srila Prabhupada, he explained that devotees agree. They agree on everything. Well, why should they fight? See? Especially pure devotees. If they're really pure devotees, they don't have any conflict of interest, because their interest is the same. It's to worship Krishna, to please Krishna. How can we fight if our aim is to please Krishna? There's only fight if our aim is to please ourselves. See? So if you have devotees on the platform of mixed devotional service, then there might be some fight. There might be some difficulty. Boy, how are they supposed to do that? Well, the best way to handle that is to become a pure devotee. Then you won't have fights.
So these injunctions, when they say devotee, they mean pure devotee?
Well, it implies pure devotee, because why would you want to worship someone who's still in material consciousness, you know? You know, like we begin and end the day by paying obeisances to one and all. This is very nice. And Srila Prabhupada taught us that to resolve conflicts, we should research the matter in the Shastra and discuss it until we reach consensus. And then we should also pay obeisances to one another to clear any offenses. So the neophyte devotees may not be able to execute this process nicely or properly. And they may, or worse, they may try to do the external part without actually coming to a resolution of the difficulties. This is dishonesty, see? And then they may go and separate without having actually resolved the difficulty. And then this is what leads to the separation and the dissolution of the devotional sangha, you know. Just like we had one member here who had some disagreement, but who kept it within himself, and he didn't discuss it completely until it was resolved. And so this problem built up and built up and built up, and eventually he had to leave. We tried to help him, we tried to correct him, but he couldn't accept the correction, and so he had to leave. Not that we forced him to leave, he decided to leave. You see how it works? Because he committed some offense against devotees. And the offense in this case is not being truthful. This is usually what happens. Usually neophyte devotees, they'll have some conflict, some argument, either over philosophy or over service or over politics or some nonsense like that. They're having the argument in the first place because they're not perfectly pure. If they were pure, they could easily come to agreement, because they would say, okay, what is the applicable philosophical principle in this case? And they would research the Shastra until they found it, and then they would accept the verdict of the Shastra, both sides. Okay, then it's resolved. and then they pay obeisances to each other, forgive each other, hug, and then go home, and everything is okay. But if they're not honest, one side or the other will keep a grudge. Oh, he beat me this time. I'm going to get him the next time. Or they may not actually accept the resolution. They may say, well, it says that in some book, but I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to accept that. But they'll accept it externally, you see, but not internally. This means that person is insincere. They're insincere, so they don't really accept the resolution, and then the conflict continues in another way, or even worse, it goes underground. And then it can't be resolved. So, this is human nature, I suppose. But it's not pure devotional service. It's not perfect enlightenment. We see in our association, we have very few, we haven't had a serious argument really. Yeah.
Well, about in the kitchen sometimes. What to cook.
Oh.
It's not serious.
No, it's not serious. No. Serious is, you're wrong. It's not something that we experience very often here. Hardly ever. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Any other questions? No? Who's attending?
There's Devesh, Jeffrey, Alan, Jennifer, and Ashton, Krishna, Prapti, Marino, and Venu.
Oh, very nice. Well, thank you all for coming and associating with us. I guess this looks like a pretty popular thing, so we're just going to continue it. Huh? David Lugan, Jai. Still an F. Amazing. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlada Lada Daine. Don't rush. Hiranyakashipo Vakshahan. Shila Tankana Kalae.
Shila Tankana Kalae.
Ito Nrishingho Parato Nrishingho.
Ito Nrishingho Parato Nrishingho.
Jato Jato Jamitato Nrishingho.
Yato Yato Yamitato Nrishingho.
Bahir Nrishingho Hridaye Nrishingho.
Bahir Nrishingho Hridaye Nrishingho.
Narasinghamading Saranam Prapade.
Narasinghamading Saranam Prapade.
Tabakara Kamalavare Nakam Madhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare
Bhavakara Kamalavare Nakam Abhuta Shivam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringham Jagadisha Hare.
Avakara Kamalavare Nakam Adhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare